guys, welcome back. This is the second part of our creative writing mini series. And again, my name's Erica, and I'm a match support specialist, and be kind of walking you through illustrating your story from last week. So at this point, you would just need your story from last week, a piece of paper, any kind of paper that you have, and then something to write with. Marker, pen, kind of cool. You can use whatever you have. It doesn't really matter. Graphic novels really utilize a lot of different styles. Some are in color and some are just black and white, so very graphic. But yeah, so you can kind of just use whatever you have lying around and whatever you prefer. So for laying out our graphic novel, we'll look at our story, and as stories have, there are, kind of different parts. So we're going to sort of organize our story from last week as we go along. So go ahead and take your piece of paper, and we're just going to do simple folding. You'll fold it in half once, and then one more time, and then just one last time. And this will just give you a good grid that you can work with. Make it pretty simple. So obviously, I'm going to go over kind of how to fill up these 8 spaces, but for yours, you could really kind of divide it up however you prefer, or even leave extra at the end if you want to sort of add on to your story, because the one we created is really sweet, short and sweet, very simple. Definitely leaves a lot that you could totally add on to yourself. But so working within this grid, the first one here we'll use for our title, and then going on to the actual story, this will be the one that we'll use to sort of establish the setting. So where does your story take place? You all got to kind of choose which city you chose to set yours in. For mine, I chose Carson City. So the setting for the second space will just be, the once upon a time in Carson City. And then what's the problem? What are we really writing about? Which in this case is the virus. So I already made one up a little bit as a sample too, so I'll show that to you. But here is my title. It's very silly. Our tagline is Defenders of Potential for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I thought, I'll just go with that, and we'll use that for my title. You guys obviously come up with whatever you want. And you can do a little illustration if you want. You just have fun with lettering. Keep it simple, up to you. This is a good spot for you to write who authored the story, which would probably be you, and then who's illustrating it. So the second box is the once upon a time, and then in Carson City, there was a virus. And sort of in the style of graphic novel, I'm using like exclamation points and also going over certain words to really emphasize that. Graphic novels really like to sort of simplify the story and really bring your attention to what is important. So trailing it off here allows you to sort of see the illustration here. And then down below, obviously Carson City and the virus. Those are the 2 main points that I'm trying to make here, where it is and what's happening. And then feel free to add whatever illustration you like there. So the third box that we'll illustrate, we'll take from our story. We go into, how the virus has been affecting us. So at this point, you could take directly from your story or kind of come up with whatever you want. But for this, we want to go on into what happened. So for us, from the story, it would be, things are hard to find. We mentioned toilet paper and pasta, so you could do little illustrations or missing blank spaces in the grocery store, and then also what people did to sort of stay safe is where you could also add that in. So maybe showing people wearing masks or washing hands constantly, that kind of thing. The next box here, we want to talk about what's good and what's bad about the situation. So we're really trying to lay out the purpose and the meaning. Why is this important? Why are we talking about it at all? And so in our story, that relates to things like schools were closed. This was great because kids got to go to school in their pajamas. It was a bummer because they missed their friends and didn't get to actually go to school and see everybody. This might be a good spot. In graphic novels, sometimes they can sort of split the square, like down below here. So here, we might either utilize something really obvious like that. We could split it and kind of show good, bad. Or we could show maybe the kid in his pajamas, really enjoying that, obviously, with a smile on their face. Maybe he's thinking about like something else. So another tool in graphic novel and comic books is using little bubbles like below here. So for your thoughts, or for, you know, maybe what a person is saying too. So here, probably just they're thinking about it, because we haven't even introduced our main characters yet, which takes me to the next row. This is a place where we'll be introducing the protagonist. In stories, a protagonist is considered the main person. So that's the main character, in which case is you. You got to write about yourself as a little. So you are the main character, or in the sense of a folktale, you're kind of the hero of the story. So we get to introduce you. And in the story we talked about, what's your greatest strength? So this would be a time that you could illustrate that as well. In the next box, we want to talk about the little your challenge. So in stories and in folk tales, especially maybe, the hero or the main character has something that is a challenge for them, something they must overcome, whether it's because it's a weakness for them or it's part of the main story. In this case, we talked about some days everything was just so different for the little, and this made them feel pretty frustrated. So they had to really, so in this case, the challenge would be overcoming that frustration, getting past that and finding something, you know, to move on with. This would also be where we introduce the big. So we're talking about the big in relation to being somebody who helps solve that problem. So back to the little Mad Lib story, it goes on to say, luckily, the little brother had a big sister, and together they got to make pizza over the phone. So we could show that is sort of like, here's the problem, and here's an answer. So we're introducing your big. The next, second to last one here, we go on in the story to mention, you know, this made them both feel really happy because they knew they were not alone in this. And they also talked about or thought about, like, when this is over, we're going to be so excited to get to see our friends in person, or whatever it is that you chose for that. So in this second to last box would be a great place to show the big and the little, maybe either both thinking about what they hope for the future, or what they think about one another. So why is their match important at this time? What are they really benefiting, you know, from having one another in their lives? And I used an example here. You can kind of see. I just split it so you could do like a big and a little, and what they're maybe a thought they're sharing. See, the little bubbles go up to the big one, so they're sharing that thought. Or you could do, maybe they're actually talking to each other, and these are just examples for you to kind of build on. Then the very last one is what is the lesson. So especially in folk tales, there is a point of telling the story. What do you want people to learn from it? What are they going to walk away with, like, knowing about your experience and your story? What was sort of the point of it? In this case, there's a lot of good good starting words, I guess you could say, for sort of getting that message across, so people know that this is sort of the moral of the story here. Just like at the beginning, we used once upon a time. That's everybody, it signifies to you that this is where, you know, the story is beginning. So a couple examples would be even when, or no matter what, to introduce like what your message is. So in our little Mad Lib story, we have, you know, for example, when things are hard or scary. So even when things are scary, it can also be a time that you learn to appreciate different things. You know, maybe the small things like going to the park or having somebody special in your life. But yeah, that's something that I would really invite you and your big to kind of think about, because yes, you can use directly from the story, but this would also be a really good opportunity for you guys to sort of talk together and talk about what are you going to be able to walk away from this with? What will that look like for you? Feel free to give some suggestions if you guys are listening and want to. But yeah, talk to each other as a match, you know. For me, maybe it's that I really appreciate that I live in Nevada and I'm able to go out even when, you know, during stay at home time. We have enough open spaces that I can get outside and enjoy that with my daughter. That's been a huge one. We love to explore, and that's been a great opportunity for us to just remember that. Go hiking, go climbing, whatever it is. So, yeah, maybe just talk to each other. Maybe you just really appreciate that you have someone extra special in your life, like a big or a little, that you guys can look out for each other. So that's kind of it. As you can see, I went over the creases just with a marker, creases that we made by folding, just to make it stand out more. If you guys are more worried about being perfect, obviously you can use a ruler, but not necessary. It's a handmade item. I don't mind that. And also, there's, you know, you have your story that you did. You can go ahead and illustrate it yourself. Maybe a match could work on it together. Maybe over a phone call, you guys could kind of brainstorm how you want to break down the story, what kind of illustrations you might use. Or you guys could get really creative and swap it even. So if you guys both do the story, you could then, your big could help you out, and you guys could actually exchange your actual stories and then illustrate one another's. So that could be a fun option. Yeah, I will look forward to seeing how you guys get creative with this. If you need any help with art supplies or anything like that, always look out for your match support specialist. If you forgot where, you know, the original story was, check on Mission Box or ask your match support specialist too. And everybody who posts, don't forget you can win some swag for you and your little. So please share your creations. We're excited to see what you guys make of this. All right, thank you so much. Bye.